It's Matt along with Goo, and today we're going to talk about the four Karnai Spotlight SP Scout, all their units, and the interesting Scout stamps that they've got. So stay tuned. Before we go into this stamp, which I'm not a huge fan of because there are four different S rank characters that you're going to be going through, they did at least increase the rewards, and I'm kind of putting that in quotation marks, that you're going to get through this. And I'm not a huge fan of these banners. And at least that I know of, Japan hasn't seen anything else similar to this yet again. And I really, really, really hope that they don't do this because it is fairly frustrating. But for people who are very much into Dragon Quest Joker and are interested in these four, I'm going to kind of put a little bit of a warning on this, that these units are strong, but are not nearly as strong as units that are going to be coming out in the next 2 months. And so it's not really great to be spending the gems unless if you're a huge fan of the Joker Dragon Quest Monster series. In case you do you, and that's a okay. And that's always number one in the importance on things. So for this is going to be a brand new stamp where I will be doing two polls because there will be a guaranteed S rank on the 2nd, 5th, 15th, and 25th. And on the 10th and 20th, you will be guaranteed a on banner, so one of these four units. And the third one, you will get a meeting ticket, which means you then get to choose which unit you want. So theoretically, if you are so inclined, which I know a lot of you can't afford, which I totally understand, the 30 stamps here, you will get 3 on banner units. They might not all be different. They could be the 10 and 20th could be the same, and those aren't guaranteed to the one that you want. So this is a pretty much a banner that if you want one of these four, you're going to have to go all the way to the 30th stamp to unlock. And this is where, you might get lucky. You might get on the first one. But unlike most of the others, where if you really want the unit, it requires 15, this one is going to be the 30th. So it is going to cost a lot of gems to guarantee the units that you want, let alone for upgrading it beyond the first one. And this is where I have a very, very severe issue with the overall event and the way that they did the gacha. Um, so just going with that, I'm going to be going on the second stamp. That's all I'm doing for this one entirely, just because it's guaranteed S rank. I'm okay with that one. That one's fine, but I will not be going any deeper. Now, if I get the units, I do have a ranking system, and I will try to rank them in order. Um, and I'll try to kind of give you the order as I go through this. So let's first go to Hawkhart. Yes. And this is actually going to be one of the two units that I'm most interested in, but it doesn't fit my team very well. So I'm not really going to be going through this. The official name for the first skill is Snooze, not sleep. I'm not changing it. It's just easier to talk about. Occasionally putting an enemy to sleep with that's in range. Honestly, it's a pretty interesting and useful skill for a healer. So not too much else to say. Second one is Healing Aura. Restores a large amount of HP to all allies and removes some status ailments. And this is probably the most important skill out of all of this. Um, the main thing here is that removing status ailments is fairly rare. Yeah, there's been more units that kind of do some random ones. This does for pretty much all of this, for almost all of them. I think Charmed is the only one there, and it might be something else. But all in all, this is an incredibly useful skill. This is the main reason that I have it ranked either 1 or 2. That the 2 are there. That if I do pull one of these units, I'm hoping it's either that I do get a Hawkhart ace, to be honest, and this is the main reason why. And the last one, Ace Volcano here, heavy sizzle breath damage to all enemies within range, pretty useful in general. The leadership effect is breath power 20% with the art boss ? Units. It's a little sad. It should have been 25%. I don't know why they put 20%. Honestly, the main reason you're using that is because of other units that you have, and they've actually got better ? Breath leadership than that Madgarou. So, not a great leadership skill. Now, the first awakening here, auto revive with 50% max HP once. This can, yeah, I think this one can be removed, but that one I'm not entirely sure. Did not get to play at all with Hawkhart Ace in Japan, so if it's not, go ahead and put it in the comments below. But the nice thing here is auto revives remove all ailments from it, so kind of get a chance to go through. The important one here is with the healer having auto revive, that's actually really, really great because there's nothing that kills, especially in like PvE, that your healer dies because of like a random thing that the enemy did, etc., etc. This is another really, really good one. The one thing, though, that I'm not a huge fan of is the healing flap, which kind of is like what most of the healers that we're used to now do, is will heal at action start instead of as a reactive heal. It only does about 100 HP, which with the friends there for step 3 for healing flap, I'm not a huge fan of just 100 HP. It's a little too low, especially for requiring a third awakening skill. Ace Volcano does go up, so it's Whoosh and Zap, and then the last one increases HP and Volcano power. Just a real quick here, goals at most to really get the first awakening. Anything more is really more for stats. As I say, just not really sold on this one. This is just too weak, and this is why it's not rated as a, oh my god, we have to have this unit. Stats here, HP 1147, defense 307. It's a little below average, but with that huge movement of 4 and agility 536, I do really like the way that it's designed. It could heal, it could go, especially with the ability to, with healing aura here, does a really, really good job. So all in all, and yes, it's a question, but the weight's only 55, and so it's not as powerful as a lot of the other ? Units, and I understand that. And as a healer, it's only a little bit higher up. But personally, I still think Seraphie fits a little bit better for a lot of things for healing. The only thing that Hawkhart Ace has got is got the Gem Slime ability to remove status ailments, which is a pretty big, I do admit. To learn skills, honestly, Burning Breath, paralyze all enemies within range. That's what you're really going for. That is by far its best learned skill. I don't really have much else to say there. Its preferred weapon is actually going to be the Wonder Knife, the healing power. You're really looking for MP and Wisdom. It gives you MP and Agility. All in all, by far the best weapon for Hawkhart Ace because you're most interested in using its healing power. So let's go with the pros here. The first awakening is fantastic. 50% HP revive for 99 turns. All of these skills in Karna's Blessing here have removed most ailments here. Just kind of going through all this. I think there's going to be a couple of new ailments that come out relatively soon that aren't part of it, but at this point, it basically removes most ailments. on even turns until turn 6. So turns 2, 4, and 6, it will refresh. Hawkhart Ace will attack first, usually. So that means even if someone paralyzes turn 1, on turn 2 will still be able to heal and undo any of their control type things. So there's some pretty good uses there with its forward movement. The cons, mostly the breath power, 25%. Actually, also going to add that for the Awakening 3, 100 HP at the start of the action start is just not enough. Sure, it can kind of keep you going for a little bit, and it's a free heal, but just not worth it. Well, I pull no. It's a good unit. If you don't have one of the 2 top healers, this turns from a no to a yes. But once again, I hate advocating pulling anybody on this banner because to guarantee the unit, as I said, it requires 30 pulls, and that's just too damn expensive. So all in all, this is going to be pretty obvious that almost everyone's going to be a no. I'm not going to pull for them. Some of them, though, I really, really do want to get, and I will need luck for that. So let's go with Wulfspade Ace. First skill, Kafuddle. Dangerous skill. This is probably the thing that I worry most about Wulfspade Ace. The leadership, physical power by 20% for the question mark units. But this confusing at 40% is a big deal. This is a very dangerous skill. Honestly, if this unit was a little bit more powerful, it would be really, really dangerous. But I'll talk more about it and then explain why I'm not as pleased as I am for others, but I do like Confuse. Thunderbrave inflicts a large amount of non-reflectable zap spell damage, which is proportional to your own attack. Because Wulfspade's Ace Wisdom is basically 0. And into all AoE. This is a good skill. And what makes it above some people is because it is a spell damage proportional to attack that can't be reflected. And this is actually a great skill to go against the Mega. And this is kind of one of the big uses of Wulfspade Ace, actually. And it's always the prodigy here where in gacha games, they try to make a problem and then give a unit that solves the problem. Wulfspade Ace is one of the units that can solve the Omega problem. And with the confusion as well, it's not a one-trick pony. The last one, Rapid Cross, inflicts 70% physical damage 4 times on all enemies. A useful skill. I like the range. The X formation is a little bit unique, but I wish it wasn't physical damage because we have so many evasion units that it's not as really wonderful, and the MP consumptions of both these skills are really high. The Awakening skill, though, Wulfspade Ace can hit with some decent power the first 3 turns on Awakening 1 with the high attack power and agility for first 3 turns. With its agility, it means it usually will go first. Crackle and Sizzle resistance there. And the third Awakening here has a pretty decent chance of Guts. This one's Invincible Heart. And it will stay at 1 HP when HP should be at 0. So it has a chance, and I think it was 40%, goes up to 50%. It's either that or 50 to goes up to 60. And I'm sorry, I don't have anything to check here. But it's roughly a coin flip on each time that you try to kill it. So if you're going against a unit, it could be really, really annoying because of that, especially if you go, I need this to die. Oh no. And it could fuddles 2 of your units, and then all of a sudden the battle plans go straight to hell in PvP. As stated, this unit is a bit of a glass cannon. It's actually a little scary that it has less HP defense compared to Hawkhart Ace. Its agility is similar with 526. It does move at 4. Its attack power, though, is incredible at 568. That's why I say this is a true glass cannon. Preferred skills, Snooze and Blunt are probably the best here. The preferred weapon here, I put the Flail of Destruction, high attack power. You just really want to send out Wulfspade is with as much attack power as possible. Mostly because Thunder Brave has a decent attack set, and Rapid Cross is only 70%. Yeah, it does 4 times at 280. But once again, you just really want to pump up that attack to it magnifies with these skills. So for the pros here, Third Awakening is really powerful. And actually kind of puts fear into some teams because of the ability to, if you get unlucky, it won't die. But what I've learned in a lot of other games, it's just what happens to me. If I'm trying to put Wulfspade Ace, like in a PvP, and I'm not allowed to reset, he's going to die. And when I'm fighting against him, he will never die. It's just the way it is for me. But for PvP, that is actually something that you can try and abuse, and keep it alive to avoid like a super attack, like say from Bahamut's Super Breath from the last event. The intrinsic skill, once again, Incarnate's Blessing, all of these units have it. And the 4 movement potential Confuse is strong. And because of that, you can use it if you notice, like, you can attack 3 units with the Kafuddle. That is a very powerful opening for skills. Thunder Brave, though, is not powerful enough, even though it's a non-reflective spell, because honestly, Lieutenant Gorsby Purvis is a better unit right now than Wulfspade, especially after Talent Blossoming. You can teach Purvis Fuddle to confuse, but it will basically do what Wulfspade's Ace does. It has a little bit better stats. I like its attacks better than Wulfspade Ace. But for people who don't have it or don't have Gorsby Purvis at a very high level, Wulfspade Ace is a very good unit. And even if you do, they do have a little bit differences in abilities. But once again, I think most people are going to go to Gorsby Purvis over Wulfspade Ace. Especially since I would say their power levels, I think Wulfspade Ace is just a little bit below a fully awakened Gorsby Purvis. And yes, it does require a lot of work to get there, but the Gorsby Purvis has a little bit less weight. Yes, the agility is not quite as high, and with that Kafuddle, there is some niches for Wulfspade Ace. But once again, with this banner, I cannot recommend people trying to pull for this specific unit in general. Next one is probably my least favorite unit out of the bunch, but not saying the worst unit. It's just my least favorite unit in general, but I actually see the most uses for it, which is, that's a mad conundrum right there. Excuse me. So the first skill is actually its best skill, and I know it's rated as a defending unit or defense role, and big defense, which it can only use 3 times, is the main reason here. But the big one here is that this reduces own damage taken by 90% for 1 turn. PvE, especially if all right, you've got to survive for 3, 4, 5 turns. Turns 1 and 3 doesn't do much damage, but oh my god, 2, 4, and 5 are really, really, really scary. Or even just turns 1 and 2 are scary, and then it falls off a cliff. Cluboon Ace will be able to take that damage, laugh at the unit that is taking the damage from, and then just laugh at it again. 90% damage reduction is absolutely huge. And with its large HP and defense on top of it, it does a pretty good job of reducing damage taken to itself. Anyways, so as I say, I'm not a huge fan of it because as a defense unit, I really would like to see selflessness instead. Doesn't have it, but it definitely is a kit that is designed well for not having selflessness. Once again, it's a good unit. I just don't like it. Falling Stone inflicts heavy bang martial damage to all enemies and then draws them one square. Useful to try to keep it, away from other units. And Pile Hammer inflicts heavy martial damage 3 times to one enemy. Its Awakening skill, movement +1. Always good. Occasionally, so second one is Sizzle Resistance. Fourth one's Frizzle. This Kongu Stance is the third Awakening skill. Occasionally, 40% will increase martial potency recovery for 1 turn by 1.5x. And interestingly enough, there's these notes where the effect doesn't trigger if a status elements prevent you from taking action, like in Martial Lock. And so it's a martial skill. And they're actually getting pretty good at kind of explaining things, which I really do like. And this does not trigger when hit by a counter or a follow-up. So basically, in order for the 40% chance to have any type, it's got to be from the original unit attacking. And it can only be triggered once. So for 1 turn, you only get that 1.5x for Falling Stone Pile Hammer. This is actually fairly, what I would say is disappointing. I would really like to see maybe if Cluboon Ace's Third Awakening skill could, and this is true with almost all these types, for units that can attack like 8 times weekly, this is a great counter to that, but they didn't allow it, and that's kind of sad, to be honest. So its HP and defense at max level here is 1400 which is absolutely massive. Its agility is not bad for being a very high defensive unit, 441. It's got an okay attack at 400, as I say, with the first Awakening skill, it gets movement up to 3. The preferred learned skills, Blunt. Honestly, with Cluboon Ace, you're going to be using it in very specific areas. If you want to have buff too and just kind of use it to buff other people, that's fine. But in general, you're just going to be using big defense, and really you're going to be using Falling Stone or Pile Hammer. Its MP is a little low though, so it will kind of suck itself dry. The preferred weapon, I chose the Chrysanthemum here for the martial skill power, but excuse me, obviously if you didn't start with the War of the Visions, you can't have it. It does have its own weapon as well. It just doesn't fit Cluboon as well as Chrysanthemum does. 45 HP, 17 agility. Basically, all you're really looking for is HP agility for this unit. Yeah, defense would be nice too, but really HP and agility is where you're going to get the biggest bang for the buck. And Chrysanthemum does that in spades, and also gives you martial skill power too. So by far, it fits all of Cluboon's Ace's skills. So its first skill, as I say, is what really makes this unit tick. You can only do it 3 times max. And with Incarnate's Blessing, it won't just get locked out by annoying buffs 2, 4, and 6. And for PvE, this is actually a pretty good unit. It's got a niche, but you will probably want to use this niche for really high-end stuff. But once again, it's just this banner. This banner sucks. And honestly, to me, it feels more like an attacker than a pure tank, which honestly, for PvE, it has its uses. Um, the cons, as I say, and this, sorry, I did not take away the cons here. My big con is it's just MP is just not high enough, and it doesn't have selflessness, so it doesn't act as a true tank. But once again, it does have a niche, and I'm being very harsh on it. Um, and as I say, no, but it is a very useful PVE niche that it has. So I have, as I say, I'm a little disappointed on the not selflessness, but I see what they're going for, and honestly, it's a good kit. Last one here is Diamagon Ace. Spell power is his main thing. Um, I think it's rabble power here. I just left tension here. It raises the tension of an ally, but not you for one turn. This is actually a really powerful skill, buff. So if you are trying to do a massive finishing blow, and even if the unit can raise its own tension, you can raise the tension up another skill. Plus, on top of that, other units might be able to buff up attack, etc. And you can land a really high blow. This is going to be incredibly important for those big battles where we could bring Aiden and allow you, and the last attack that or highest attack counts for damage dealt. Very, very important and useful there. Also, on top of it too, for physical things where it's like if it gets below 30%, it goes berserk, or 30%, it will heal up 50% of its HP. You can skip those by breaking the defense, raising attention, raising the attack, and doing huge damage. Just works all the way around. I love that skill. And I won't go into any more detail because I'll probably bore everybody, but it's a great skill. Tiny Magic Burst skill here is non-reflectable spell damage to all enemies, non-elemental. It will always have a use. And the last one is the Big Crackle spell, which inflicts random crackle spell damage to enemies 8 times. For the big bosses, this is always important. Having it as crackles useful. So you can tell this is the other unit. So Diamagon and Hawkhart aces are the two that I'm really hoping for. Cluboon ace, actually, I'm not too worried about. And interesting enough, I think Wulfspade is the one that I can get by the easiest without having. But all 4 of these do have usefulness. But as I say, raising tension for other people. Interestingly enough, its awakening skill, First Awaken, recovers 16% of max MP at the start of even turns up to the 10th turn and will raise its own tension by 1 turn. Hard to complain about that, especially Tiny Magic Burst requires 30% of your max MP. So you are going to burn through MP like no tomorrow. But it's also kind of interesting that if you look 30% max MP, 16% max MP, it will allow you to actually cast it 4 times if you've got the First Awakening in the first 4 turns, just an example. The third one raises agility at start of battle and gives you crackle power. And then the last one here is does magic runaway rate, which is the magical version of a critical hit by 5%. So it's a pretty good unit in general for the awakening skills. All of them are pretty fire. Its weakness obviously is its HP is really low at 1066 with its defense of 320. It's a little slow with 416. It doesn't have a +1 movement, but that's still okay. Its weight is 55, not 65, so I do apologize there. It's 55. The preferred learned skills, honestly, mid-heal. This is a unit that can act as a healer as well, plus a buffer, and then do attacks. Makes it a very well-rounded unit. You can give it other skills as well, but mid heal I think is the best. The preferred weapon I put is just a magic wand. This is a mini metal, so pretty much anybody can have it. Just looking for as much wisdom as possible or spell power. Skill effect, I've already gone through tension. The intrinsic skill, just like all the others, and crackle spell. It's also useful to go against units that resist death, but it can't support itself with its tension skill. And the damage part of the kit is average. The crackle spell is not bad. It has its uses, but its damage is just medium level. But as I say, this is second place. I like Hawkhart. And if I had to go, it would be Hawkhart, Diamagon, Cluboon, and Wulfspade as my 1 through 4. Mostly because my Gorsby Purvis is 5 hearts. And other than Kafuddle, there's not really much of a difference to me in that regards. But all in all, some of these units are interesting. I might have even kind of gone for Diamagon Ice if it wasn't for this banner. As I say, I do hope that on the second one, I do pull a couple of these units, but I'm not going very deep into this because all 4 of these units are quote unquote on banner. And in order to guarantee it, you have to go through 30 pulls, which is incredibly expensive. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe. I haven't really asked, and I've been seeing an uptick, so I'm very thankful. More importantly, I hope you guys did enjoy this. I know this is pretty long. I do apologize. I was going to do these in shorts, but I didn't want to explain the limited time scouts 4 times, so I decided to put them all in one. You all have a good one, and